It was in 1953. We were about to adopt a baby, and we'd already spent a lot of money for the baby. All of a sudden, I hear this car in the driveway. And I look out, and here's this little sports car. My name is Lois Sheldon, and my husband was Gordon, and he bought the car in 1953 from Jack McAfee, who was a dealer in Sherman Oaks. It was a relatively new car agency. When I first saw that car, I had a fit. You bought that car when we're going to have a baby? Well, look how little it is, and where were you going to put a baby? And so he said, oh, don't worry, I'll fix it. There was this little space behind the seats. And so my husband, being clever as he was, built a platform that was a little bit below the seat. And then he covered it with like a little mattress. And so my son just slept back there and went everywhere with us. Gordon would drive the car to work, and Michael, our son, was just small, about 2, and he could hear that car as it came off the freeway, and he would always run to the door, Daddy coming, Daddy coming. And that car was part of his life from the time we first adopted him. I didn't like the color to begin with, and I thought the whole thing was crazy because it was so little. As it progressed, I learned to love that car. He decided that everybody in the Porsche Club needed a number. So ours was 27, and then the others, if they wanted a number, then they all got one too in the club. And I told him, well, one thing I know, I don't want it burgundy again. I don't like that color. So he wanted to know what color I liked. And I said, well, I like that new color that Ford just came out with. It was sort of a beige. So he bought the paint, had the car painted. So actually, the car had 2 lives, one in its burgundy color, and then one in its pinky beige color. He was a bit colorblind, so he really didn't know much about the colors. The last time I saw the car was when it was being trucked away by my son. I don't know, the tears just started rolling down my face. I thought, that's the end of a life of that car.
About 10 years ago, I was looking around for another car project. I had restored a few cars and was looking for my next adventure. It was in a contractor storage building. The car was very intact. It was really dirty. The engine was out on a pallet wrapped in cellophane. And along with the car came 7 large bins of parts, books, documents, a real treasure trove of early Porsche parts. We loaded the car on a trailer. As we were leaving Indio, I thought maybe the car was on fire, and it was a trail of dust that we left for miles, dust and sand and dirt blowing off the back of the car. I got it back to the shop in Santa Barbara, and the first thing I did was to sort through the bins. And it took me a few months to sort it all out. The further into this I got, the more I realized that the car, with a few exceptions, the paint being a big one, was 100% original. At that point, I made the decision not to restore the car, but to keep it as is. So I spent the next 18 months, over 1,000 very enjoyable hours, using all original parts that came with the car, and finally got it under its own power in June of 2017 for the first time since 1974.
Oh, and there's our old number, 27, yeah. How well I remember that. Oh, yep, there's the paint. That came from the earthquake, the Northridge earthquake. When it was stored in the garage, the roof was covered with all kinds of stuff, books, magazines, and then the paint was just flew off the shelf and bang onto the car.
Let's see what we have up front.
Oh, heavens. Oh, and this is the original strap on the tire?
The original strap. Here's the fuel gauge.
Oh, yeah, I remember
the wooden
that.
dipstick marked in liters.
Yeah, I had to do that every time I drove it because I was afraid I'd run out. And since it had no gas gauge. But these things are still the same, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't get broken or anything.
No, but all the metal is original. It's all numbered. It has the original jack.
Well, thank heavens I never had to use that.
Yeah, well, everything is a memory on the car.
I know.
Right? Everything is a story. To see the excitement in her face was really kind of the culmination of a dream I've had from the moment I got the car. I'm very honored and very proud and very excited to spend the day with Lois and her car.
Well, I never thought I'd ever see it again.
Well, here we are.